Well, it's Monday night, the 29th of May. The moon is a couple of days post half moon, which means it's entered fully into the second quarter. It's culminating to the south, and it's probably only about 10 to 15 degrees from my current study, which is Messier 104, the Sombrero Galaxy. I've reset various values, which I'll demonstrate later on when we get to the end. Unfortunately, the camera has not been fully charged, so this is not going to be an extended evening. What it is going to be a quick rational check of the set points I've come up with. The screen is extremely bright. The atmosphere is quite clear. We're not seeing any color spectrum, the purple that I typically see when the water vapor and the moon is present. So this is the view we're getting. I can see maybe 5 arc minutes of the Sombrero Galaxy, maybe 4. You can see the core, you can see the extensions, and I'm hoping with a little more exposure time we'd be able to see the dark bar and a little bit of the faint cap on the far side of the dark bar that bisects the Sombrero's cap. Let's go have a look at Messier 3. What I really want to check out is NGC 5210, which is where I left off previous evening, which is a 14th magnitude galaxy, and will be a really good check of the current set point settings, which I've once again been adjusted a little bit, because when the brightness was too low I wasn't really seeing much of Messier 104 when I first set up the scope. Let's go to Messier 3, Messier 5, and then NGC 5210. Messier 3 is about 20 degrees from the full moon. Maybe we'll make a swing at M65 after this, included in our very brief observing list. This is the view with the new settings. I made sure I would at least a contrast setting of 50. I did bump up the sharpness setting by a couple of points, almost to max, and then backed it off a little bit. And the brightness is about 100, which is 50 lower than I usually have it set for. So there's our view of Messier 3. Let's move on to M65 in Leo. Messier 65 should now be forming on the screen. I can see quite extensive spiral arms in this roughly edge-on galaxy, although slightly oblate and tilted. The core is very brilliant. The view is about what I saw last night in last night's posting, which I put up this very day. Once again, we are within the aura of what I would call of the bright full moon, although towards its edge. The sky has color. It's about 9:45. The sky will always have color when the moon is this bright. Pretty good, decent view of Messier 65. It's about the same distance from the 9-day moon as Messier 3, the globular cluster, was. I'm a little more impressed with this view, however. Here we have Messier 5 in Serpens. The cluster is looking pretty fulsome, not as bright as it was last night, but there are pointy little stars all over the field of view, including those pesky little single pixel artifact stars that the imager throws up whenever you're operating at high degrees of sensitivity. I am pretty pleased with this. The globular cluster is in Serpens. It's probably about 35 or 40 sky degrees away from the moon, but as I pointed out earlier, the sky has color in it, so effectively, because the moon's up there, we are not in sky dark, nor as long as the moon is anywhere near the middle of the third of the sky will we see a dark sky above our heads. But here is the view of M5 and Serpens. And I'll let you see the set points when I've concluded this series of just a few studies. NGC 5210 is a galaxy in Virgo, almost magnitude 13, 1.3 by 1.3 arc minutes, 310 million light years distant, a spiral lowercase a. If we're seeing the galaxy at all, I'd be surprised because it is much closer to the moon than, it's actually very close, maybe within 15 to 20 degrees of the moon. So, but since I want to go after 14th magnitude galaxies, we'll just start with this little view here and see if we can pick it up. And I'm going to try to maybe jump to the 5500 series NGCs, and we'll see what we can get where the sky is darker. Okay, wow, I had to make quite a big leap to get further galaxies away from the moon. This is NGC 5701, a galaxy in Virgo, magnitude 10.9, fairly large, face-on, 4.7 by 4.6 arc minutes, spiral of capital B, barred, and bridging to an O, with a ring, 67 million light years distant. I think I can make it out on the screen. I thought I could anyway. Giving it a chance to formulate. It's supposed to be a face-on. I don't see anything particularly face-on. I see an edger right there. I wonder if that's a watermark on the screen or that's the galaxy. Come on, it's supposed to be magnitude 10. So that's disappointing. Have to check it out on the manana. Let's see what our next galaxy is. This is magnitude 11, but it's fairly large, which means low surface brightness. 5 by 5 is 25. We'll call it 20. 2.5 log 20 is probably somewhere around 3, which means it would be almost 14th magnitude average surface brightness, so maybe not the best choice because of its size. There's a 5702 is a galaxy in Bootes. It's not too far north. I'm going to go to that one. It's magnitude 13.3, roughly 1 arc minute in size. Well, I'm having to extend this out more than I really wanted to this evening. I just wanted to capture a few to get a better sense of whether these settings will hold out. This one is NGC 5702, a galaxy in Bootes, magnitude 13.3, roughly 1 arc minute, 1.1 by 0.8 arc minutes. It's a lenticular spiral, 247 million light years distant, and I'm hoping we're seeing it somewhere on the screen. It's in a bad position for me to observe the screen. So hopefully by this time we're down to 2 bars. I'm going to push for a couple more and then I'm going to bail for this evening. I'm actually overextending the time that I thought I was going to invest in observing tonight, but the sky is actually quite promising despite the moon. Okay, we pushed it a little bit. We're now in the 5900 series, 5910, a galaxy in Serpens, magnitude 13.6, 0.6 by 0.6 arc minutes. Smallish, but there's a reason for it. It's 547 million light years away, 500 million light years. It's a lenticular spiral. I'm hoping we can see it somewhere on the screen. Given its dimensions, it's face on. So we'll have to look for that tomorrow, but notice it's a 13.6 magnitude galaxy. I am going to skip around a little bit. 14.7 is out of range. There's a 13.2 in Serpens. Why don't we go there? 59.13. We're still in the range of moonlight, but we're outside of its brightest aura of influence. 59.13, we'll let it form on the screen. I don't know that I'm going to go after many more of these because the battery is running low. 59.13 on the hand controller. Oh, why is it saying no object? Oh, because it says Messier. Oh, well, can't do that. All right. Anything forming on that screen? I see a bright star at the top. that? 5913, I believe. Galaxy in Serpens, magnitude 13.2, 1.6 by 0.7 arc minutes, a spiral with a bar and a ring, 89 million light years distant. Be nice to be able to turn that one up under these circumstances. And I'm seeing it. So there we go, our first valid galaxy. It's magnitude 13.2. It's just outside the range of the brightest light from the moon. So I am fairly pleased we turned up a 13.2 magnitude galaxy under these circumstances. This may be a Carpe Noctem moment, but I'm going to go ahead and search a little bit more. Here's a galaxy in Libra, 5915, 12.3. Why don't we have a look at that? It'll be further from the moon. Got 2 bars left on the camera. Give it a chance to formulate. Oh, lots of stars up there. Could be an open cluster of some kind. And you see 5915. I will look up the data. Okay, it's actually a pretty bright galaxy. We can see it right over here on the screen. This will be our... I will want to do a little search of the moon, so I'm going to drop the shutter speed way down and we'll do a search of it as an exit point. NGC 5915 is a galaxy in Libra, magnitude 12.3, 1.6 by 1.1 arc minutes. It's a spiral with a large bar and an AB. 106 million, lowercase ab, 106 million light years distant. Okay, I'm pleased with that. 12.3 and about maybe 35 to 40 degrees from the moon. Right ascension 1521.33, declination minus 1305.30. I'm going to now demonstrate the set points. And we're going to cut back the exposure time to be able to do a sweep of the moon before the battery goes out. This is our screen cap of the set points. Brightness 100. I noticed when it got down low we started losing things quickly. Contrast at 51. Sharpness of the image at 12. You can see the galaxy right there. The hue, middle, color gain in the middle. I'm not using color. The galaxy is present right below the 4 in color gain. So what I need to do now is cut the exposure time well back. So I'm pleased with that. Looks like we had a pretty good turnout. Up, navigate down, return. You're supposed to return. There we go. Scene select, custom, shutter. Let's drop this baby down to about, well, that's the wrong way. It'd be interesting to see what the galaxy would look like, but I'm afraid of the batteries. This would be the 256 flood. This would be the maximum amount of exposure time. Might be nice to have a look at this galaxy under these conditions. You can see it forming right there, and certainly its aura has expanded way out. This basically effectively adds about another 0.8 magnitudes to the reach of the scope. So yeah, I would say we would benefit on galaxies. I'm actually getting a sense of the ring around this galaxy. As I recall, it had a ring. Alright, so there's our view at 256 flood. Let's see if I can get this thing to go down now. 128, 64. I would suspect we got to be down maybe 1/1000th of a second. And I'm going to navigate to the moon and we'll do a little search routine. And that'll be our exit for the evening. Wow, I really had to back off on everything to get any kind of decent view of the moon. had to go to 1/10,000th of a second exposure time and reduce the CCD imager gain or sensitivity AGC max to 6, which is the lowest setting. And there's our view of the moon. So let me take the settings off the screen, and then we'll do our sweep of the moon, and you can get an idea of how well the resolution looks on faint fuzz, on very fine detail as opposed to faint fuzzies. Let me see if I can adjust the fine focus a little bit. That looks pretty, that's about where I can get it set right there. Alright, let me get rid of these settings on here and we will do a search sweep. Okay, here's the view of the moon spilling well outside of the vertical 400 arc, probably about 14 arc minutes of the vertical aspect of the screen and 20 or 25 arc minutes on the horizontal axis. I'm going to begin the search routine. It's going to have a field of view value of 3, which is meaningless because it depends on the magnification. 25 search cycles, so let's see how that works. So it's going to go around quite a few times. Wish I could control the speed. Well, there it is, centered up once again. This is a very active region of the moon from crater point of view. I believe it, can't be sure, but I think the southern pole of the moon has the greatest amount of crater intensity. So that's a pretty good view of that up there. You can see Maria. I see things that do look like it could be rills. You can certainly see mountains. You can see peaks inside the craters. You can see really bright regions. I'm not quite seeing any rays at this point, but it would behoove someone to actually take the time to learn their lunography, which I haven't been able to do, although I've explored the possibility of it in the past. So, with that view of the moon in day 9, let's call this a Carpe Noctem moment.